Alright, boys and girls, it's been a little bit since we made some videos. It's because I've been working on this thing and working funky hours. So, anyways, we actually got this thing to run and drive. You guys missed it. Sorry. It's life. I had a deadline, wanted to go to VW Drag Night up in South Carolina, and had about a month and a half or so like that. And I had to do some things here. So, we got it all ready, driving, street legal, everything works. Some things need to be improved. But first off, the big deal. So, I needed a motor and transmission. I had all the pieces for the motor, just had to assemble it, but it was going to take more than a month to assemble it to do it the way it needed to be done. Alright? So, a friend of mine really wants to be doing the drag and drive events, and he wants to actually be competitive in it for the Volkswagen class that they have. Reality, all the parts I was collecting for the motor is way more than this car ever needs, and I was going down the rabbit hole. So what I ended up doing was he had a 2386cc motor that was already built together. That actually is the engine case from my old blue and white Bug when it had the turbo on it. Those heads were from another friend of mine, and I actually ported those heads that are on this motor right here. So I knew all the parts were in it. It was fairly comparable, just that's a magnesium case, not aluminum. Those are not Panchitos. They're an 044 that I ported. It is same stroke, it's just not a flange crank. It's all good stuff, it's just not the next level stuff. So anyways, we made a deal. I traded him my transmission stuff and my motor stuff for his motor and his transmission, because he's wanting to pull the wheels off the ground and run in the 11s. Me, I want to go to A to B. So that got the motor all situated. Run and drive a motor, known quality, put my carburetors on it. Just right now we got the stock transmission in there, but he does have a transmission that he is assembling. He had all the parts. It's going to be a Type 1 IRS, not a bus box, because like I say, I don't really need that. This thing is not, we're not going to be trying to pull the wheels everywhere. We just need to go to A to B. So it will have a 437 ring and pinion with the Super Beetle style main shaft, a 378 first, and stock first through fourth gears. With the taller tire, it should equal out about just like a 67 Bug, which will be fine. That'll go down the road 70 mile an hour. That's as fast as you really want to go in this. So that got the motor done. We're still going to put the turbo on it. This motor is compatible with the turbo. The camshafts and everything will work with it. So we will do that later. This was just to get it running with the, motor we know, and it runs and drives and all that. We put the driver's seat in. We had the passenger seat in. We put harnesses in because we wanted to make a pass at South Carolina. We got the steering wheel, everything else like that on there. I think that was all already done. One thing we did do is the front end was sagging after a while, and whoever did this beam originally, they put the adjusters way down, like at full height, they're down. So I bought some air shocks for the front and put those on there to get the front end level. We got the roof on, got the Miro on, we got everything in there. Alright, it drove 814 plus miles. My buddy lives about 15 miles north of me, and from his house there and back we drove 814 miles to his house, so plus another 20, so like another 100, almost 800 and a half miles. But that's 800 plus miles in 24 hours. We left at 4 in the morning Saturday, and we got home at 1 something in the morning on Sunday. And plus I worked an 8-hour shift before that, so I was up for 36 hours straight, which was a little rough. So anyways, everything worked pretty well. One thing I'm running into a problem with is I mounted these tires a long time ago, and I didn't balance them. I decided, because when shops in my area mount tires on aluminum rims, they gowl up the edge and everything. So I didn't want that to happen, so I mounted them myself. I never got them balanced. And my buddy has a balancing machine, but it got struck by lightning or something a day or two before we were to leave, so that was out of commission. I tried to go to a couple of tire shops, and they can't figure out how to balance a tire. Being it's a deep dish rim, the machine was telling them to put the wheel weight in the center of the rim there, and they couldn't figure out how to static balance a tire. You know, that's just the way we live in, so none of the tires are balanced. So it has a little vibration going down the road because that's all unbalanced. The handling of this thing was hairy at first. So I did a alignment on it. It was the craziest thing. Going through the gears, this thing, you didn't know which way it was going to go when you shift a gear. Once you got up to 65 or so, it was pretty straight. You could let go of the steering wheel, it tracked straight. What fixed that, believe it or not, was lowering the air pressures. I had read about that, but I kind of didn't think it would do that big of a difference. So instead of 30 pounds of air pressure in the tires, we got like 15 or so in the front, and there's like 20 or so in the rear. And what I found out, the best way to explain it is like dribbling a basketball. Every time you hit a transition in the pavement, you know, like going over a bridge per se, it was like the whole car had 4 basketballs for tires, and you didn't know which way they're going to dribble. Once we lowered the air pressure on it, this thing drove pretty nice, except for the small vibration from the tires because they're not balanced. But the wanting to dart in unknown directions went away. As you can see, we have stuff in the car. We brought a lot of garbage with us. Toolbox, tent, another tool bag. Over here is equipment to run the drag strip. I brought more than what I needed. I didn't know what their tech was kind of a joke in all reality. But I didn't want to be caught with my pants down and say, hey, you know, you need gloves or something crazy. So we had gloves, we had helmet, neck brace, fire jacket, arm restraints, 5-point harness, everything SFI certified, just in case somebody wanted to complain about it. We got it. You know, the only thing we didn't have was fire pants, which I will probably buy, just so you know, there's no argument at some place for that. Ran cool, did not get good gas mileage. It got about 17 miles averaging. It needs to be fine-tuned on the jetting and the carburetors and stuff. They are just basic jetted and basically synced. They are not fine-tuned or anything like that by any imagination. The vintage speed linkage, yeah, you know, I gotta give it some props. They thought some things out really well, and without the air conditioner on there, it would be a lot easier to mess with. But with the AC on there, you can't get to the bell crank right there. It's a pain in the butt, and to lock the ends, the rod ends on there, is kind of a pain. This rod end over here has a bind in it for some reason, and it was making the carburetor stick. So I've ordered new rod ends for it. That's why there's a big gigantic spring on there. It should not need that. You know, it's fair. I just don't like how thin the rods are for it. They are real thin and can be easily bent. I don't like that, and I'm afraid of one of those rod ends falling out and losing a linkage arm. So I've actually bought secondary rods for it, just in case that did happen somehow. But other than that, the motor ran great. Has a small oil leak, which it's a Volkswagen. What do you expect? Ran cool, no problem there. Just need some fine tuning on the jetting and timing, which all that's going to change anyways once it's turbo, so I'm not really big caring about that. Big deal is rain. All right. I have wipers for the front. I did not install them. I put Rain-X on it. It wouldn't have mattered. I would have thought that the roof, being that it curves under the windshield here, see this, how it goes down and around to the windshield. I would have kind of thought it would have been self-sealing. That was my thought. But it's not at all. So the rain would hit the windshield, travel up the windshield, go up through the curve, around the curve, and back out the roof and rain on your face. And what didn't rain on your face rained down the inside of the windshield. And on the way back, it rained cats and dogs, guys. I mean, it was bad. And of course, I was in a spot where we couldn't really pull over. There was a ditch on each side of the road. Your best bet was just to kind of go slow. Luckily, we're in Timbuktu and nobody was on the road but us. But it rained bad. So we're going to get the side curtains made. I'm going to try and find an upholstery shop that can do that. Make the rear window, and we're going to take the roof off, and we're going to... You probably could put a rubber gasket there. I'm thinking about just sealing it with silicone, because to me the roof is part of the car. I don't foresee ever taking the roof off. So rain was an issue. The biggest deal was raining down on my head. That was and rain on the inside of the window. So we're going to fix that. We're going to seal up the rubber gasket here. We're going to seal up the roof there, and I need to get side curtains made. That is a bigger deal than I thought it would be. Other than that, everything else worked pretty well. The stick-on mirror there, I gotta admit, is like the perfect size. If you guys have a fiberglass buggy, this was through Latest Rage. CP Performance sold it, actually, is where I bought it from. But it's a billet aluminum mirror made by Latest Rage. That thing actually works really well. It is like the perfect size to look out the back window here. Old side mirror, the Del Swift worked well. Turn signals and stuff, all that seemed pretty well. We only had one small catastrophe, which was a wire came off the regulator. And if you guys all know about a Volkswagen regulator, they have those two big spade terminals for the main power. And the only place I can find a connector that will fit that is at the auto parts store. And they are the cheapest garbage. I've had, right where it goes from the crimp, has a little extension out, and then the spade that slides on the spade. Right in between there, I've had them break. And that's exactly what happened here. It broke off. And of course, once we cut the terminal off and went to put the wire on, it was too short. So we had to make a new wire for it on the side of the road. But we brought wire crimpers, and we brought terminal in, so we were good there. That was the only massive thing. We did at one point have to tighten the wheel bearings in the front. Put 800 miles on it, and they've never gone anywhere. That was about the biggest deal there. For actual mechanical stuff, just the wire. I can't think of anything else we did. We just, drove 400 miles, drove 400 plus miles back, made one pass at the drag strip. Let's see. And then, of course, it got rained out from there, so, nobody else really got to run anyways. And it's not a rocket right now. All right, we took it easy on it, A to B. In the eighth, it went low tens, but I mean, it took me 3 seconds to go 60 feet. So if that gives you guys an idea of how easy on the line we were, it went, it took about 3 seconds to go to the 60-foot mark, because I probably drove it slower off the line there than I ever drove this thing. So, all in all, that's what we've been doing. It's got some other things we need to do. We got upgrades coming. Like I say, the seats need to lean back. If you guys have 914 seats, I mounted them directly to the floor. And they look like they got a little lean back to it until you sit 4 hours in that thing and you realize how vertical it is. So I'm going to kick the bottoms back, redo the mount in the back there for the seat, and make the seat lean back a little more, which will just help a little bit, I think, on the old back. Like I say, it needs the windows. What else? A cup holder would be nice. Throttle cable and tube needs to be greased. It's kind of sticky. It's hard to push because it's got a little stickiness to it. But, you know, that's all little things you find out on your test shakedown runs. So mine just happened to be 800 miles. Bought new... So one problem I'm having is the holders for the bulbs in these lights here are not the greatest. And they don't hold the bulb very well. It's like they're been spread it out for some reason. And the bulb stays in there, but they just don't make great contact. So we're going to get rid of that. We bought some LED lights for the rear. Probably end up going to have to put some little diode in here to get the amps up and all that. But $100 Amazon, stainless steel backing in there. They look like pretty decent quality. So we're going to do that. For taillights, to get rid of the issue with the bulbs. And then, you know, it's just little improvement things from here. So it should be at Bug Jam no problem this year. Once my buddy gets transmission done, we'll put new transmission mounts, because this, it's got the old, we didn't even change transmission mounts, and this thing, it just rocks like there's no tomorrow. That's about it, boys and girls. I hope you're all doing good. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll do a better video later on. See you later.